Hey y'all, my dog Neville likes to shed, so my desktop has to sit up off the ground, but it's currently sitting on Tupperware. Today we're going to build a nicer stand to keep the desktop off the ground. It's also going to be my first attempt at making miter joints for this box frame. I had this scrap pine 1x4, so we're going to use that for the sides. First I marked the first 45-degree angle to see where I need to make the initial cut, and then marked the second cut and transferred those marks to the other board. This was the first time trying to make a 45-degree cut on this miter saw, and so the bump stop needed a little adjustment to get it right. I made a test cut and it looked pretty good, so I went ahead and made the cuts on the rest of the boards. The 4 pieces are going to make up the outside frame. Later we're going to have a piece of plywood recessed from the top on supports to create the final product. After trying to find the sides that matched best, I marked them so that I could make sure they ended up together. I've seen several other YouTubers use this trick to glue together miter joints. I'm using paper packing tape, similar to painter's tape, on the outside faces of the boards. I then laid down the boards in the order I marked them, making sure the right sides butt up against each other. And now I continue that for all sides of the box. I then applied a liberal amount of glue to each seam to make sure it gets a good connection. And once they're all glued, it's just a matter of folding the sides together to make the box. Then taping the last joint shut to make sure the pressure is kept on all the joints and that it will keep its shape. After the glue dried, it was time to remove to see how the joints did. Removing the tape was fairly easy. Most of the joints came out okay, not too many problems. The fourth one had some issues, but we'll fix that here in a minute. First, we have to prep the support brackets for the plywood top, as this is where most of the weight from the computer will be. These 1x2 pieces will be set 3/4 of an inch from the top, so that when we put the 1/4 inch plywood insert in, the depth of the recess will be about a 1/2 inch. I wanted a slight recess to make sure the desktop wouldn't accidentally fall off the top, and so overall it'll be much more stable for it. After gluing and screwing all the sides together, it's time to cut the plywood. To cut the plywood, I used a circular saw that I inherited from my grandfather. Because the maple plywood is a little delicate, I pulled out the 40-tooth blade for a 60-tooth blade to get a smoother cut. One other thing I do to get a smooth cut is that I like to mark my cut line and then cover it in painter's tape and then remark the line. Adding the tape to both sides of the plywood and both sides of the cut helps keep the board from splintering and gives it a smooth finish. And no chip outs. Second cut is to get the length down to size. Then I glued in the top. And when you need a weight, you use whatever you have on hand. To fix the corners, I've seen other people use a mix of sawdust from their miter cuts and wood glue to make their own kind of custom patch paste. So I gave it a try here, mixing it together and shoving it into every imperfection in the miter joints I could find. And now that it has dried, time for everyone's favorite part of the project, sanding. The sawdust glue mix actually worked really well. It was easy to sand off, so I flattened each side and slightly rounded off each of the corners, and it really looks nice. Not something I would put on display, but a very passable first attempt. To finish, a nice dark stain to match the office furniture, not a gel stain, for those of you that saw the laptop stand build video. And here is the final product. It was a good project to practice making miter joints with. I definitely need to do some more fine tuning on the miter saw to make sure these cuts are perfect for the next project. Thanks for watching. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next project.